about them Cowboys. It's the Cowboys Squad, sponsored by Game Time. Everything Dallas Cowboys every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from America's team, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Cowboys Squad Show, starting now.
Well, not only is today Memorial Day, it is also a happy birthday for Micah Parsons. But never a day off for us as the Cowboys Squad Show continues. Here we go. Welcome into the Cowboys Squad Show on this Monday. That over to the far right is the co-host, or maybe your left, depending on where you're looking. The co-host
right here, I'll wave.
There you go. The Locked On Cowboys podcast each and every day. Landon McCool crushing it every day with Marcus Mosier, and along with my co-host on the in-season Cowboys postcasts, former Cowboys coach Glenn Stretch Smith. All right, guys, really quickly before we begin, I would like to dedicate this show tonight to all of the brave men and women who have given their lives, who gave their lives to protect our nation and our freedom. I think now more than ever, something that we can no longer afford to take for granted. And I just want to say that we remember you. We honor you. We lift you up. We lift up your families, and just want you to know that this is more important than football or anything. Thank you for that ultimate sacrifice, for sure.
I'm gonna echo that. I mean, my dad was a service guy, and I ultimately respect anybody that goes into that profession. And I think there's something to be said. It takes a different, very unselfish person to be in the military and to be in the service, and quite frankly to be in blue and all the people all the first responders, everybody that helps us. I think there's something to be said for that, and I think sports and people in sports that don't say it enough have immense respect for those people that wear the uniform.
Amen.
Yeah, and sometimes we even have crossover, right? Like one of the greatest Cowboys who ever played, Roger Staubach, obviously a member of the Service Academy and obviously served as well. So, yeah, obviously immense respect for anyone who serves for our country, and obviously thrilled to take a day to kind of remember everything that they've done for us.
Amen. All right. Well, as I said, today also a happy 26th birthday to Micah Parsons, who really could have had a great day with a new contract, but last I checked, right before the show, that deal didn't go down. But kidding aside, we've joked and we know it's going to get done. We all believe that's going to happen. But just for the entertainment value of this show, because nothing says squad show like the entertainment value. That's what we're here for. Right? We want to entertain and have a good time. But in all seriousness, that understanding about a deal in place, right? Well, apparently Parsons shot that down a couple days ago, kind of, on social media. He tweeted out with a post with a bunch of baseball cap emotions, which apparently, I guess, with Gen Z, that means it's a lie. Right?
It's cap, yeah. This means it's lie, yeah. That's what he's saying. But what was the actual tweet that he was saying?
Something about the handshake deal rumor that he has a handshake deal already in place, and so the emojis were followed by the phrase "no kizzy," which I guess is slang for no lie, which essentially he was saying that the writer that claims that there's a handshake deal in place, that's false, or whatever that's worth.
I mean, I don't know that. I'm sorry, Landon. I don't know that it's a handshake deal. I think there's parameters to the deal. I think that here's what we have and here's what we can do. I didn't want to get in a position here where it's like I feel like I'm hijacking the show, because the direction for me, every time I think about this, and every time I really, when I go to put a pen to paper, and I think about, okay, how's this best going to fit under the salary cap? And then I'm keeping in mind I mean, the word is, say that there's still some interest in a trade for Jalen Ramsey, and could that money fit under this certain scenario, and whatever you start thinking about it, and it's like you start cocktail napkin drawing some things, and I'm looking down and I'm thinking, okay, at the end of the day, you have a quarterback that's going to make 60. Now, that's more than any other quarterback out there. And this is where I have it. And then it, it kind of, I almost get a little angry with it. You'll start thinking this guy's making more money than Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, Burrow, Herbert, Stafford. Your quarterback for the Cowboys is making more money than those guys. You hear me? And then we're sitting around questioning if we've got the money to sign certain guys on a team that's at best maybe right now a 9-win team. And it really does. It almost like I kind of grit my teeth at it a little bit because it gets me a little frustrated. And people say, well, that's Jerry's fault for waiting so long or whatever the scenario is. But at the end of the day, we got a quarterback on this team that is maybe, I could argue, 10 to 14, the 10th to 14th best quarterback in the league, and yet he makes the most money, and it's by a lot. And then we got the best, maybe generational pass rusher that, okay, now he's coming out and saying, well, I'm not real sure we got a deal in place. And it just, quite frankly, fellas, it doesn't sit real well with me when I really start thinking about it.
Coach,
yeah, I mean,
go ahead, Len.
I don't think there's going to be any problem getting Micah Parsons' deal done. I feel like he's, and I think that the semantics of whether there's a handshake deal or whatever, like we don't need to get into the semantics of what is or what isn't in place. But I mean, I think we all have heard what we've all heard, and we've all seen what we've all seen on, and I do feel like there certainly is more evidence that there was some kind of agreement in place, and that we've heard from multiple sources now about this, that there's some sort of again, handshake deal. I don't know, like what we don't need to put words to it, but there was some sort of a parameters of a deal. I think, like Coach said, is a good way to put it, and so I don't think that was made up, or so I just think that it's hard to kind of get upset about this week in, week out, when it feels like Micah's not upset about this, even when he tweets about it and suggests that a particular suggestion of the deal being kind of in place, it being a lie. I mean, I don't. Like I said, Micah could sit here and call truth or lie on a number of different called scenarios, but at the end of the day, I think the Jerry Jones and Micah's team, Micah had some numbers in place. The coach, the agent got involved and kind of probably put a kibosh on it, and they wanted to wait until they had gone through proper channels. And I think, if anything, I think Micah maybe is just covering for a situation where maybe he went a little bit too far without guidance from his agent with Jerry, and then kind of was asked to pull it back a little bit. And look, I think that's fine. I just think that's where we are, and we'll see exactly when it all gets done. But I have very little doubt that it will get done.
I mean, until you put yourself in his shoes, right? Okay, you're out. Okay, you're at Nick and Sam's in Dallas, and you're having one of them $150 steaks, and Jerry throws out the number at you, and you look over and go, yeah, man, and what about the mushrooms? And what about some of them, what about some of them twice baked potatoes? And yeah, that sounds great. $40 million a year? Hell yeah, I'm on board. You know what I mean? And then it gets a little skewed. So I'm like you. I mean, I don't want to get carried away, but it does. I'm still in the mentality that I don't know that I'm really over the fact that they paid the quarterback $60 million. I mean, And maybe I need to go see a counselor about it. I guess first step to recovery is recognition. So maybe I'll recognize.
I don't think that's gonna cause a problem for them signing Micah, though. Do you? I mean, like, I think you can't trade to go pay Jalen Ramsey $21 million to come in here and play slot corner. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but if you want to do that, you can't. Yeah, but I think that it certainly does limit your ability, but. And I hate that it's like 10 million more than, or 5 million more than number 2, but I don't know that that's like an excuse. I'm of the mind that it's hard to overpay a quarterback. Like, quarterbacks in general, like, their impact on the salary cap versus what they get paid, like, you certainly can make it more difficult on yourself by having a high AAV like you've done with Dak, and they certainly did not need to pay Dak the amount of money they did, but they also the problem that Jerry made was a series of small problems with Dak that continue to increase his leverage over and over and over again, to the point where they removed the ability to the leverage of the franchise tag. They removed the leverage of a trade with the no trade clause, and so it got to the point where they backed themselves into that corner. To have to pay him $60 million a year, unfortunately. And to Dak's credit, he used every bit of that leverage to squeeze, Jerry dry twice. So. Well,
I know this. I know this. I know how the fans in this town can be, and you've seen them. If you want to push it to that level. I mean, I was here in '98 when they booed Troy Aikman. I mean, I know how they can turn on you. And I got news for you. You go out and play average in this town, and you're picking up that kind of check. It'll turn on you. I promise you. It will not be friendly. It will not be nice. And so I guess my whole thing is I think it has to be in line with what everybody else made. It has to be a slotted situation. And I agree with you, Landon. I think Jerry did, they franchised him, and I get all that. I mean, I'm not saying that there weren't some zigs in the road where they shouldn't have zagged. What I am saying is that at the end of the day, you still got to be below 265, and you've only got so many guys to fit in that. And so, the thought of paying a guy substantially more than the top 7 quarterbacks in the league, it doesn't really sit well with me, and that's just my own personal issue.
Well, for whatever it's worth, Coach, one of my duties with this show is after we're done, I download and send and all these different things. And I don't know if you ever go back and look, but not only do we have great viewers and listeners that comment live during the show, but we get a lot of people that watch later on and they leave comments. And there's a small group, Coach, that they're mad at you for bringing up Dak's money as frequently as you do. They keep saying, "Come on, Coach, stop talking about Dak's money."
I mean, it's part of it. Look, if you're going to get paid $60 million, you can't expect that people aren't going to make a ton of comments about it. Coach is 100% correct about that. There's just no way around it.
Bullseye,
I mean, you and Bullseye is right. Like you're putting a $60 million bullseye, $60 million bullseye on your shirt, right? Like, so, look, I mean, that comes with the meal. Right, as they say, right? Like if you're going to be the $60 million starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, then Dak needs to have thick skin and understand that criticism is the floor for what you're going to get. You're going to perform well. You're going to have, like I said, you're going to have like someone in the chat saying, you're going to have 12 win seasons, and it's not going to mean anything if you don't perform in the playoffs. Which that may not seem totally fair, but guess what? Again, $60 million a year. That's why you're getting the unfair treatment, and that's just part of what this deal is.
Yeah, and I mean, to those folks, I mean, I'm giving it up right now. the first step to recovery, and I'm trying to recover with it, is recognition. So I recognize that it's my issue of the thought of paying a guy that kind of money and getting what we're getting back. I mean, it's it isn't going to go. It's not going to go away with me, but it certainly feels like that. You go back and you think about when Kansas City paid Mahomes, and the receivers that they had, they didn't want to let Tyreek Hill out of that building. I promise you they didn't. McCole, Hardeman, they didn't want to let those guys go, but they had to. And so I think there's a certain togetherness for me that, and when I say togetherness, I'm saying for me that I'm a very much a we guy. I don't get me on society today, because I could go. I could brew myself a real case of the red ass, because I think as a society we are in a me society. Me, look at me. Hey, look at my page. Look at what I'm posting. Look at what piss on you. How about we? How about And so then I get really, I could get really going. I think we don't have enough we in what it takes anymore to be together, and so I have a hard time with that. But that's a discussion for another day. I said I didn't want to hijack the show, Jeff, and then you let me hijack it.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let me take our first time out, not my hour, and I'll tell you what. I think there might be some little extra motivation for Dak, other than the money and the comments and everything else. So we'll get into that when we come back. Also, again, we want to hear from you via the comment crew. So get your comments in, and we will hit on those a little bit later on in the show. Good news is we still have about 40 minutes left on this Monday night. Happy to be with you. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. All right, well, got to tell you, if you ever check your bank account, right, and you're wondering where did all my money go between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, maybe you're buying those expensive steaks with the mushrooms and the potatoes, really easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, your investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, even help you plan some long-term goals. And if you're managing your money with a partner, it's smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts. You can set some goals and stay on the same page. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. Okay, welcome back to the Cowboys Squad Show. The coach, Glenn Stretch Smith, and Landon McCool, co-host of the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast. All right, we have some other things we're going to get into, but final thoughts on Dak. In addition to the contract, which is not new news, right? But he's coming back from a pretty bad hamstring injury against the Falcons. Well, Landon, I'm pretty sure you and Marcus hit on this as well a couple of days ago, but they came out with the new ranking. Was it PFF that came out with new rankings? And basically, paraphrasing, they put Dak near the bottom or at the bottom in the NFC East. Is that right, as far as quarterbacks?
I didn't see where he was, but I'm assuming it was because. Well, I mean, it couldn't have been out at the bottom. They didn't. I mean, geez, he
was below the Giants. I know that. That's what caught my attention when I saw the headline. But he wasn't
I mean,
ranked very
again-
high, Coach. You talked about that at the outset of the show, that for what he's being paid, he's not ranked high and was not ranked
Yeah,
high.
well,
He's-
I don't know if we're gonna take that PFF ranking as the law. I mean that PFF ranking
No,
was
it's actually it's
pretty.
just squad show fodder, but
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it. Like that article came out and where Dak was. I mean, look, I mean, let's not pretend like Dak isn't like a year removed from being an MVP candidate. You know, like they ranked him in the bottom half of quarterbacks. Like, I'll listen to an argument that maybe he's, you know, somewhere near the bottom half of the top 12. I mean, but I personally would have a really hard time taking him out of the top 10. When Dak is healthy, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He's got a 33-8 record in the NFC East when he's, you know, playing. So I think for Dak, it's about being healthy and then having the weapons so that he's not. His issue is trying to force it at times, because when he doesn't have enough to work with and he's working by himself, that's when he forces the issue, and that's when I feel like we get what Marcus and I have referred to as sweaty Dak. You know, where it's like he's having to overcompensate for a lack of talent around him, and then that's when he starts to get into trouble. That's why I'm interested to see what we get with the Pickens and CeeDee Lamb situation, because I do think that you could likely see a return to closer to what we saw in 2021 and 2023. Because I mean, consistently when he's had weapons and had health, he's performed at an extremely high level.
Well, I'll tell you what, fellas. Whenever you see me sit up like this, just when you know I'm ready to bark a little bit. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and just because we are in a Memorial Day good mood, let's have the discussion. Let's have the discussion here. We're professionals. We're amongst men. Let's pretend that we are at the Cowboys Pro Scouting Department. Okay, and up on that board over there, you got 1 to 32. One starter in the league, the 32 starter in the league. And you know what? We're going to put our board together, and we're going to slot this guy. Piss on how much money he's making. Let's leave that out of it. Let's just have the open discussion right now. Is it fair to say of the guys that I have mentioned, Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, Burrow, Herbert, and Stafford are well above Dak Prescott? And if you don't feel that way, I'm fine with you saying so.
I mean, I think
Herbert yet.
Herbert's not in that list.
Not Herbert yet for me either. Not yet.
No.
Okay. All right. CJ Stroud.
No.
Okay. Jalen. Okay. Hold on. Jalen Hurts.
I mean, again, this is a tough conversation because Jalen Hurts. Am I taking him and playing him anywhere else, or is Jalen Hurts playing in the system that he's playing with the Eagles? What the Eagles run? And
we're ranking quarterbacks 1 to 32.
Then no, not Hurts. No, not Hurts.
Okay.
Jeff, I want somebody who could throw. I want somebody who could throw the middle of the field if I'm
right. Jeff, don't catch lockjaw. Hurts.
They're close to me.
No, right in the fence. I need. We're going to rank them here. Yay or nay?
I would say yay. Yes.
Okay. Daniels.
Oh,
Jane Daniels.
Jane Daniels.
I would say break even.
Okay, we got to rank. We got to have one above the other. So let's just play along here. Who would you rather have today
for this year, or
right
for
now?
Moving forward?
Right now. I want you to rank them right now.
For playing a game right now. Dak Prescott.
Okay, and Dak with you.
Yeah.
Jeff? Okay. Yeah. Goff.
Dak.
Okay. Baker Mayfield.
Dak.
Kyler Murray.
Baker Mayfield has had multiple options to show how he is. He was a first round pick.
Right. We can go back and get individual guys. Kyler Murray.
Dak.
Trevor Lawrence.
Dak.
Love.
Dak.
Darnold.
Dak. Definitely Dak.
So so if I understand this right, you guys believe that Dak is the 6th best quarterback in the National Football League, behind.
That's
and again, we can talk about the top end of the board, but behind Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, Burrow, and Stafford, then he's 6 in your mind?
Yeah, I think Stafford's there because he won those Super Bowls, but overall,
Yeah,
he's
Hurts
had a
has won
very
a
up and
Super
down
Bowl
career.
too. Yeah, good.
What?
Hurts won Super Bowl too, right?
Yeah, I said he's not as good a quarterback. So that's why I ranked him up.
I don't know. I might have Hurts just a hair right now above Dak. I'm saying right here, right now, because of where they're at in their careers.
Let me ask you this: if Dak had if you put Dak in the Philadelphia Eagles offense last year, does he win the Super Bowl?
Right, but I'm not doing that. What I'm telling you, I have to do, and what the exercise for my mind is, we're ranking the top.
Isn't that part of the exercise?
Top quarterbacks in the National Football League.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
That means how they run their team. That means throwing accuracy. That means all the things that go with being an NFL quarterback. And I'm telling you that in my mind, I think he's about 12. He's about 10 to 12. That's just where I'm at today. I'd rather have Hurts. Today I'd rather have Daniels. Today I'm not sure I wouldn't rather have Goff. Today.
Goff? Really?
Yeah, Jared Goff. Absolutely. But I mean, again, that's just me. I mean, because I look at a guy who's been hurt 3 of the last 5 years. You made the statement a while ago. Well, Dak doesn't have as good of weapons. Mahomes didn't have as good of weapons either. He still won the Super Bowl.
Mahomes also had Andy Reid, though, right? Like,
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean that's a pretty big, maybe the biggest advantage in all of the NFL is the best play caller in all of the NFL. Fair, right? Yeah, I mean, that's why I think comparing these guys on these teams matters, because what situation they're in also will dictate how they perform. If you're asking me to drop Dak Prescott into the same offense that Baltimore runs, he's going to struggle because he's got to run the ball as much as you want Lamar Jackson to design runs that Jalen Hurts run. He's going to struggle. If you ask Jalen Hurts to play in, let's say, Kellen Moore, a guy that was his play caller. If you asked him to play in the 2021 Dallas Kellen Moore offense, I think Jalen Moore struggles because he can't throw the ball over the middle of the field the way Dak Prescott does, and you're not taking advantage of his legs. That's why I think this stuff. That's why I hate rankings, because it's like the situation matters. Where they go and how what system they're playing in affects their output and affects their ability to perform and move the football. And that's why that stuff gets changed out and people have different schemes, is because there's good matches and there's bad matches. I think Jared Goff is a great example. He wasn't I think when Sean McVay gives him the play 2 seconds before he snaps the ball, he looks great. When he's got the opportunity to have maybe the second best young play caller in all of football in Detroit, he's got all the options. He could throw the ball. But if you ask Jared Goff to do anything, look off his third read, or to be creative in the pocket, I mean, he falls apart like he's a high school flag football quarterback. So, I think all these guys have strengths and weaknesses. It's about how you put them into the systems, which matters. And I think it's why it's hard to rank these guys.
At the end of the day, playing quarterback in the NFL is about driving the nose of the football in very tight windows. Period. Piss on that, keep it alive, run this, do that. Hey, can you fit the nose of the football in a very tight window? I don't care if you're talking about a 16-yard gig. I don't care if you're talking about a 17 to a 14 comeback. I don't care if you're talking about a skinny post. Can you drive the football, the nose of the football, in a tight window? Because I can sit here and argue with you. Lamar Jackson plays in bad weather. I caught myself right there a lot. Okay, he didn't get 8 games indoors where it's 70 degrees and all those things. Again, when I think of playing quarterback, I think of guys who can absolutely make a decision very quickly and drive the nose of the football in tight windows. And I don't care if it's 5 degrees outside or 75. And I'm just telling you, in my mind, I wouldn't rank him as high as you guys rank him. And so, that's neither here nor there, but that's why I have an issue with him, in fact, being the highest paid guy when I think I could name you 8 to 11 who I think are better than him.
Well, Stephen W., Coach, one of our regular viewers, listeners, Stephen W. says, Stretch, name the quarterbacks you would have above Dak. Can you really make it to 11 or 12?
Yeah. I mean, okay. I mean, if you want me to do that, I can do that where I sit today. Yeah, I can tell you that the 7 that I named, which is Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, Burrow, Herbert, Stafford, Hurts, Jaden Daniels, and then you become, now we're gonna, we'll get into splitting hairs. C.J. Stroud, Goff, Mayfield. I mean, Baker Mayfield last year played as good as maybe anybody that could get it done in Tampa Bay. I'm talking about where we stand right now, where we're at right now. So, I mean,
Liam Cohen's not walking in that door for him this year, though. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't put as much on the coaching side of it, maybe as others do. I think at the end of the day, Liam Cohen's okay. He's a good play caller, but the players make the plays. I mean, you gotta have guys, again, driving the football in a tight window.
Now, I'll say this too. Let me. I mean, again, this is there's a lot of meat on this bone. I mean, there's a number of different ways to go. Now, the question of, would I rather have, if I could pick, would I rather have Dak or would I rather have maybe a younger quarterback with maybe, I mean, that's a whole different argument, but
that's what you got to do. We got to.
But I thought, we
got to take everything into consideration.
No, but
he's been hurt 3 of the last 5 years.
Right. But I'm saying we're talking about just, I'm looking at it though. I'm looking at it through kind of the tunnel of just on paper with where guys are at with their teams, where do you rank them where they are, not potential, not who talent. I'm just looking at where they are with their teams. And so, yeah, some of the younger guys could in the future, but I'm saying right here and right now, if I had this season right now in 2025, I have Dak higher on that list because I think the experience, the coming back, all of that, I think we're all kind of hoping that will benefit him. We'll see. That's a big.
Yeah, it is. Make sure you got yourself a pen right there and a tablet to write on. Write down this show, and at the end of this year, we'll come back to this discussion for sure because he's got all the weapons now. He's got receivers, got tight ends. They address the offensive line, got it all. So let's come back after the season's over, and we'll revisit this exact discussion.
Okay, I like it. You were talking about Goff. I mean, the huge thing for Goff was Todd Gurley. I mean, Todd Gurley in his prime helped him out immensely. And then Gurley got hurt against the Eagles, but that's there's a lot of different layers.
He got traded away from his original team too. I mean, for pennies cents on the dollar or whatever. So yeah, I mean, sometimes situations matter. And where you fit has a big impact. I think he's a great example of that.
All right. We're going to take our second timeout. When we come back, going to stick with the running game. I want to ask you something, both of you, when we come back about the running game. A lot of people jumping in, though. We'll get back to your comments, and we'll get into this in just a minute. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. See, told you it would be quick. Welcome back to the Cowboys Squad Show. Landon McCool, the coach, Glenn Stretch Smith, talking about the Cowboys, and we're talking about quarterback rankings. And well, I'll tell you what, I was going to move on to something else, guys, but So many people are jumping in on this. We should probably.
I knew I could stir it up. You said you
stirred it up.
You wanted a topic for the show. Hey, maybe I didn't. I cast it a little minnow out there, and boy, here we go. Everybody, yeah.
All right, let's see. This is Turt Nasty for $60 million. I need you to at least make the NFC Championship game. Winning it all is a team-oriented accomplishment, but I need Dak to come through better in the playoffs. Charles Anderson says definitely overpaid. Stephen W., we mentioned what he said. He agrees with you that Baker Mayfield might be hitting his prime. Certainly he's been in a better situation than he was in Cleveland.
Is he 29? He's in his prime.
Beirut Wedding says, it just doesn't matter. Dak is not as good as Mahomes. So what, Stretch? We're not getting Mahomes. Dak shouldn't be the highest paid. So what? It's done. I'd rather have is not a real discussion. Well, yeah, I mean, look, Dak is a Cowboys quarterback. So what? I get that, but for the sake of the show, we're just kind of kicking it around. And I think to Stretch's point, it just in a production and results based business, and money is currency. All these things, like you said, Landon. We talk. I mean, that goes with the meal. Is that okay? The higher the level, the higher when you get paid, that you're expected, because you're paid more, to produce more or to win, and they know that. I mean, that if you were to ask Dak, he would agree. He'd say, of course, yeah, we're here to win the championship. That's what the goal is. Yeah,
and I'm seeing now Marcus is chiming
there he is
as well. It's 17. I mean, look, obviously I think everybody knows that it's a results oriented business, and we got to make sure that we're that we're producing. And look, I think there's a lot of pressure on all these folks. Dak puts as much pressure on it as himself as anyone. So, but yeah, I just think it's tough to kind of hypothesize this without a whole bunch of parameters being put into place sometimes, especially with the ranking stuff.
All right. Let's see. What is he saying? I can't make out. Erga Slice or Erga Slice. Guys, Dustin Tideman killed someone. Was that an inside joke? I don't know what that means. Not sure what that means. All right. Well, hey, we know that. Look, Dak has looked good. Looks like he's in really good condition, and he feels really good. And he knows. I mean, he knows what the expectations are. Knows what has happened in the past. We've kind of joked a little bit about the early running back competition, Coach, but in all seriousness, Javonte Williams, the former Broncos second-round pick, who signed a one-year deal, when he spoke with the media from OTAs last week, says that he now, here it is, 3 years later from 2022 when he injured his knee, says he finally feels completely like himself for the first time. And that happens, right? I mean, some guys recover, are freaks like Adrian Peterson, but then for other guys, it takes a little while. But man, if they can get, Javonte Williams, who was a stud when he first started with the Broncos before he got injured, that could be a nice surprise.
Yeah, I mean, you like to pick up on a guy like that because it's not again, let's talk about the dollars. It's not a high-end dollars pickup. It's a one-year deal. It's a back that's experienced. It's someone that's been in Sean Payton's offense, so he understands protections. It's not going to be foreign to him. When it comes to guys healing off of knee injuries, like you talked about, I mean, guys heal different ways. No individual body is exactly the same, and so sometimes it takes a little while for that scar tissue to break loose. I mean, especially when you're talking about a back who's laterally cutting and jump cutting and having to put that foot in the ground, and then a lot of it Two is up here. I mean, you gotta really believe, boy, I can put my foot in the ground and I can drive and make a change of direction. And so a lot of that, I think, is the mental side of him saying, hey man, I feel confident that I can put this foot in the ground and I can go the distance. And I think there's something to be said for that as well.
Yeah, like Coach is saying, it's not even just individual. I mean, it is even individual, but it's also about what position you play. And I think, as he mentioned, you could be 100% healthy, but if you're not going to let it loose because you're constantly nervous, that knee's going to feel that way that you got that time you got hurt. It doesn't really matter, right? You got to be able to have the confidence and kind of explosion. I think that's a lot of why the players love Britt Brown a lot, is because I think those guys really get worked hard by Britt, and there's a gradual work back that I think gives them a lot of the confidence to kind of work hard off that knee and feel good about that knee once they get cleared. So I think this is a huge reason why they felt good about signing Williams was, they knew that this was coming on another year away from, and it was a multi-ligament injury, if I'm not mistaken, ACL and MCL injury. So just another year away from that. And, he's kind of a bigger back too, right? And I feel like it seems like those guys, they're already kind of living in the margins of explosion, right? So you kind of, every little bit that gets lost is kind of even more detrimental, right? So for him to kind of be further away from that injury, to hopefully get even a little bit more of that juice back in his knee, you hope that will produce better results than what you saw from him those last few years at Denver.
All right. I kind of get the sense too. I really do. This is a broad statement that we don't have to hit on now, but to what you both have said, and to, I think it was Beirut Wedding that was talking about a team aspect. I really do think that you can already kind of get the sense from Brian Schottenheimer that this is going to be a much more balanced attack. This is not going to be just, hey, Dak, try to win some games and try to find some guy. I mean, there's going to be structure. There's going to be two weapons. There's going to be more of a running game. I don't know if Marcus told you, Landon, we talked about Hunter Lipke a lot last week.
I know, I'm mad about it, but yes, he told me
the fact that Brian Schottenheimer went out of his way to mention him. So I think really none of us really know for sure what, but I think things are going to, look a little bit different this season, or probably a lot different is what I'm trying to say. That things are going to be different, and hopefully in a good way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the hope, right? Is that, and I think that's what we've been pointing out, is that the thing that you feel like that may be different this year versus last year is that the coach is saying something, and then you see actions that seemingly are following through with what the coach said, right? There does seem to be kind of an alignment in clarity and thought and process that wasn't there before. And I think the area in which specifically that it feels like there's been that clarity of thought and process is in, improving the run game, right? And that they want to be a physical team that runs the football. I think we're getting, distracted, and we like the new toy, and George Pickens is a great thing, and it's great to have a need and then solve the need, and then let's talk about how that worked out. And I think that's all well and good, but I think the general trend of the offseason, or the general kind of patching of that was done, I think in the offseason, was about being a better run defender and a better run team in general on both sides of the ball. Like, I think that's where you've seen some improvements. They still have some work to do, especially on the defensive side of defending the run. I think they can, still need add some bigger bodies, but I think they still have time there. But I do think that overall that's where they're hoping to kind of get that extra angle and edge that they haven't had in previous years is to be a better run team, and then hope that kind of pays dividends when they get into the later part of the season and able to lean on that, much like the Eagles did this last season.
Yeah.
And being a better run team means you got to work at running the football. You got to practice running the football, which means it takes time away from some other things. You've only got so much time in that 24 period practice.
Yeah.
How much time are you really going to work on it? Because all that, it sounds great right now. Okay, it's 1st and 10, we run it. Okay, it's 2nd and 9, we run it. Okay, it's 3rd and 8.
I don't like the sound of that.
We get the ball back. So we're going to run the ball. It's 1st and 10. That's 2nd and 9. That's 3rd and 8. Oh, it's huge. And all of a sudden, like I said, you do that about 2 or 3 times, I'll help you out with what they do. Boo! That's what they do. They want to see that. So, I mean, all that sounds good, and it's all great right now. But you'll know when they get to training camp how this is going to go. Are they committing to doing that? And is that something that you can see and feel and hear in practice? Because I think, like you said, Landon, I mean, you're going to become better stopping the run when you're practicing against a team that's trying to run the football. So, hey, iron sharpens iron in that mentality, and I'm not going to get into all the coach speak of it. But, yeah, that's all great right now. It's all great, and the culture's changed, and everybody wants to play ping pong and ha-ha and hee-hee. You get your ass whipped 3 times in a row. Now talk to me about the culture. Now talk to me about somebody throwing one of them damn ping pong bottles or paddles through the freaking window out there because you got the red ass. I mean, so we'll see how all of this it all has to mesh together. And I'm not trying to be a glass half empty guy. I'm not that at all.
It's absolutely worth it. I mean, because listen, I think I think that's actually what I've been saying, is that it feels like we've heard this talk before. Like that's where I'm frustrated, is that coach is exactly right. We've heard this exact thing before. Like, hey, we want to run the football. We want to run the football. And then they come in here and they throw the football like a West Coast team has before. And that's where I'm hoping the difference is between Schottenheimer and McCarthy. And the only reason that I have any hope that may be true is that Schottenheimer seemingly has followed in as much that they can here as we stand May 26th, right? Because they're not even eligible to have padded practice, right? So as much as they can, show us that they're serious about it, they have, right? But we obviously, like coach nailed it. It doesn't matter until we get into padded practice. I love that Schottenheimer in his press conference the other day knew exactly how many days he had left until his first padded practice, and I think that I even heard somewhere that he was talking about, like, with his coaching staff, how they were going to allocate the number of padded practices they had allotted to them in a way that it would benefit their ability to kind of practice running the football. Because I think coach is right. Like, part of being a good football team, a good running football team, is practicing defending the run and practicing the run. But it's hard nowadays because you don't get a ton of padded practices. Yeah. So you have to be not only judicial, but like very systematic about how you just cut those up, and making sure that you're, spreading those out and doing it in such a way that, you're taking full advantage of those, the most, someone referred to it as the most valuable limited resource in the NFL, which is an NFL padded practice. They're just so rare and so important to your football team that you need to make sure that you're taking full advantage of that. And that's what you hope Schottenheimer and that group is doing. And listen, I want to add it too. I think one of the big things for them that should be extremely helpful in kind of being a more physical running football team is this addition of Clayton Adams. I think he brings a certain amount of gravitas in scheme and attitude. The things he was able to accomplish with kind of lesser personnel in Arizona, and the way that, I mean, listen, just go back and watch how what Arizona did to Dallas. I think it was in 2024, early 2024. Like, they got physical and they punch above their weight. So I'm hoping Clayton Adams brings some of that attitude, this offensive line room and this offense overall.
All right. All right, we're going to take our last time out, and when we come back, another rumor that's kind of resurfaced again. We'll get into that. Also, we'll let you know when the Cowboys are going to resume their OTAs this week, and have a little bonus question that I want to run by Landon and the coach as well before we finish up. Thanks for being with us on this Monday night. Really appreciate it. Glad to be with you. This is the Cowboys Squad Show on a Monday. Stop, computer. There we go. Stop. There you go. Okay, we are back. The Cowboy Squad Show. The coach, Glenn Stretch Smith, Landon McCool. I am Jeff Biggs. Glad you're with us on this Monday night. Don't forget, we're going to be with you again on Thursday morning as well. Marcus will be with us. But Landon, before I get to my latest rumor, I wanted to ask you this. Marcus and Landon have the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast. And last week, you and Marcus did an episode of the Locked On Daily podcast titled The Biggest Mistake the Cowboys Made This Offseason. I did not get a chance to watch that episode yet. We had some family out of town for the weekend. So spoiler alert, I'm dying to know what was what was the big takeaway that you and Marcus found? What was the biggest mistake of the offseason?
I think the biggest one that we kind of had landed on was not re-signing Jordan Lewis, because we felt like the number that he signed at with Jacksonville was pretty reasonable, and just about how you would feel about this team if you had Jordan Lewis on this team versus if you didn't. I think you would really feel a lot better about this defense, just kind of if that nickel spot was more locked down. I like the options that they have there, so I'm not like losing sleep over it. But I do think that you would just kind of feel a little bit better about where this team would be if you had an experienced guy like that, especially with all the injuries that you have in the secondary.
What is the difference money-wise?
I can't remember off the top of my head what he got. I'm sorry. Let me see.
No, I blinded you with that. I should have told you.
But it really ended up not being much, and I kind of feel like.
Well, I'm going to go back to you're going to see. You're going to drag me back into this discussion. What is the much number? Because now all of a sudden, remember, one guy's getting 60. We can't pay them all. One guy's getting 60. And we know another guy is fixing to get north of 40. We can't pay them all. So, I mean, I'm kind of like, okay, I agree. I think when you lose a nickel guy, that's a big deal. A guy that can absolutely guard someone because the boundary's not there. The guy's got the two-way go. There's no question that is what I think is one of the toughest positions in the NFL to play. Man, we can't pay them all. You can't do it. So that's where when the discussion happens for me, and if we're being, again, let's go back to being in the pro personnel side of the room, and if we ranked Jordan Lewis and again, it's not like I do that kind of study, but if you had him, where would he be ranked in that 1 to 32? Best nickel corner in the league to worst nickel corner. I mean, how would you rank him? And then how much do you have to pay him? Because you cannot. It will not work. And I'm saying just they have to manage this salary cap situation. And I think it's a bigger elephant in the room than a lot of people want to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, again, like Jordan Lewis at nickel, it's as far as it's champagne problems, to be honest. It's like not having him at nickel. Certainly, it's not a terrible. Is some of these teams that don't have a left tackle solution or a second cornerback or that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, for sure, this is the kind of margin stuff that you have to deal with when you have an expensive quarterback. You have to find guys in the draft or find secondary reclamation options.
All right. Well, we hit on this early in the offseason. I think one of you brought it up earlier in the show, but the Jalen Ramsey rumors are heating up again because there are reports that Ramsey recently bought a nice new home in the DFW area, for whatever that's worth. So you have that rumor, although I've heard both. I've heard that there's still interest. I've heard there's no interest, no talk. And then another corner rumor is former Chief and Dolphin vet who was referred to as Dolphins bust, Kendall Fuller. So those are two names that, again, I'm just going by what's been kind of out there recently over the weekend.
Yeah, the Ramsey one is funny because it really. I mean, he bought his house in Fort Worth, which, I mean, he might as well live in Miami if he's going to be driving in from Fort Worth to the Star every single day. That's why I thought it was funny. It was like that was clearly written by someone who's not from the area and doesn't realize that. Yeah, Fort Worth is like 45 minutes at best to Frisco.
Yes.
You know,
that's if you hit it at 3 in the morning.
At best, yeah, exactly. So not exactly close to the facility house by Jalen Ramsey. Look, I mean, I think the other part of the problem is that Jalen Ramsey's got a contract that even the Dolphins don't want to pay right now. So which is crazy because literally they signed it like maybe less than a year ago. Like, I mean, look, if you want to talk about teams that having mismanagement of contract problems, you can go look at that team down in South Florida for sure. But I do think that, I think that it's a classic case of Dallas being mentioned. Him buying a house in Fort Worth is a backdoor way of doing it, but it's a kind of the classic way of including Dallas in the list of suitors as a way to drive up interest.
Yeah,
I just. I think that for the Cowboys, they're going to look for players to kind of improve their roster. We're going to, probably have some cuts maybe here in the next week or so before the June 1st cut down or some more opportunities for some new players to kind of come to the table. I just don't know if the Cowboys should be interested at all in paying a guy that they would be planning on playing a slot corner $20+ million, especially when he's 30+ years old. Like, go get Mike Hilton's on the street right now. Like, or just see what you've got in the guys that you have in your room right now. Because at this point, like, you've already got Deron Bland, who can play in the slot and is better than all these options. So I'm not like losing a ton of sleep here because there's ways to solve this with the guys you have on your roster and or just throwing another body at that you can get off the street, and it's a very good solution.
Now, when I first heard this, I mean, if there is any real legs to this, my initial reaction is Diggs on time to come back? I mean, are they telling you,
sure,
hey, maybe he's not on track, maybe he's had some issues, and I don't know, I don't want to start anything. I'm telling you how my mind works initially is not to say, well, we're going to look at Jalen Ramsey as a $21 million slot guy when you wouldn't pay Jordan Lewis. My initial thought is, is there a problem with Diggs and his timetable and what they're looking at there? But I don't know that, and I don't want to. I don't want to.
Man, even then, like, I feel like that's a lot, right? Like, I mean, you're right. I think that's a very smart thought too, right? Like, is that why there could particularly be some interest there? Because
it's so smart. That's like I'm on here with you guys. I'm back in the damn league. I'm on here crapping around.
Yeah. So it's like, it's like, is there something else going on? But the truth of the matter is that, like, even if there was, that's a lot of money for. I mean, let's say, worst case scenario is like, there's no way that Diggs isn't back before November, right? Like, I mean, so I just think it's a lot of money for Jalen Ramsey. And Steven's in here talking about like the deal. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to re-sign him I mean, look, I don't know why you would want to re-sign Ramsey to a three-year, $40 million. He's 30 years old and he's had injury problems and he hasn't been exactly great. So. And the reason he does cost $20 million is that he's due $21 million this year, like guaranteed. So like that part isn't really even like negotiable. So there's just a lot of issues with that particular situation, and I also just don't know. I just don't know that he's the player that everyone thinks he is still. I think that's the other part of it. I just, like, for that kind of money, I mean, we're worried about Jordan Lewis potentially falling off a cliff at a certain point. Also, at 30 years old. And I mean, he's making. I mean, we were talking about him making $8 or $9 million a year. So, like, yeah, I don't think that's just something I would necessarily be interested in.
All right, guys. Well, hey, I've enjoyed this show tonight very much. A lot of fun, kind of a holiday vibe to it, a little loose. Coach, you stirred it up. It was awesome.
Oh yeah. I'm sure. I'm sure we'll. I'm sure old Stretch will be taking a beating. It's all right. I mean, everybody has an opinion, and you know what? Cowboys fans are passionate. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's what makes the fan base the way they are. And that's what makes this team great. That's what makes the whole scenario great, knowing they haven't hit a lick of the snake in the playoffs in 30 damn years. Yeah, it makes it fun to get on here and talk about it.
All right. Well, OTAs are set to resume on Wednesday. We'll do our next show on Thursday with Marcus. Landon, some final thoughts from you. What do you guys got coming up this week?
No, I'm just excited to kind of get some more information on OTAs. I mean, again, it's guys in shorts, right? But I mean, it's just good to hear about checking in on where guys are at this point. There's still lots to talk about, obviously, so please make sure you guys are checking us out all week.
All right, that's the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast with Marcus Mosher and Landon McCool. All right, for Landon and the coach, Glenn Stretchmith, thank you to everybody. We kind of ran out of time here, but we will be back with you on Thursday. We'll do it again Thursday morning. Hopefully you can join us then. Stephen White, thank you for getting in. We appreciate you and everybody else as well. This has been another edition of the Cowboys